we have too many good tight ends to keep a fullback. Jack Reeves, I 100% agree with you. Absolutely, fully. I think that we just have too many. And it doesn't make sense to keep Jason Kabinda. What is your prediction for this year's season, Tina Marie? I'm going to go with the Lions going 11 wins. I think that is something they should obtain. I think they can go from 9 to 11. The schedule is tough, specifically at the beginning, but I think the Lions are a tough football team. I expect them to win the NFC North. I think that they should be the NFC North champions this year. If not this year, when is it going to happen? So they need to do it this year. I expect them to win the home playoff game, whoever they're facing, whatever wild card team comes in. I expect the Detroit Lions to win that game. And I think we should have that expectations. Why? Because the roster is legit. They have players on offense and defense and special teams that are dogs. They got the players. They got the coaching staff in place. They should be making that run, and we should expect that to be the case. I absolutely fully expect. Gibbs needs to be the weapon everywhere, but start focusing on wide receiver. He needs to be a weapon, and I agree with you. And I think he's going to be the weapon. If you've seen OTAs in minicamp, he has been that weapon. He's absolutely amazing, and he's going to get it done all over the field. And I fully expect in training camp him to be the guy that's going to make people say, okay, that's why we drafted this guy with the 12th pick in the 2023 NFL draft. He's going to be really good. And check out Raw's podcast video on him, and I concur with him fully. He is a steal, and he is going to be – I love how he compared him to a healthy DeAndre Swift with the ability of Jahmyr Best. And if you watch Jahmyr Best, that guy was freakish ability. He can hit the hole and make a play beyond plays. I said the Lions are going to win 14 games or lose only 3. Tina Marie, that would be absolutely outstanding. If they can do something like that, that would be the number 1 seed in the NFC. If they did that, that means they would have a bye week and host all playoff games in Detroit. It's going to be a tough task when you got the 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're really good football teams. I think they're going to probably win their divisions, and they're going to have a good record as well. Very, very good. Ant-Man says, just got home and chilling. Listen, my favorite Lions content creator. Hope that you are as well. I appreciate you. And that's why everyone should watch him. He knows exactly what he's talking about. This guy is an absolute monster. Let's see. I love Kabinda, but primary, remember his drops. I like Kabinda too, and I know the coaching staff loves him, but a best ability is availability and what they bring to a football team. He was a little bit issues with staying healthy last year, as well as I don't know what he can bring that's different from Mo Ibrahim and what is different from a Shane Zylstra and the tight ends that we got. I don't know if I don't think he's better than those guys. I think you can utilize those two players a little bit more. So I'd rather throw a roster spot to one of those guys than him personally. But that's my opinion. You may differ. The coaching staff may differ. Brad Holmes may differ. We all have our opinions, and that's just the way rolls. He says, I cannot wait to see David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs still in whatever his name play. I cannot wait to watch David Montgomery, the guy whom we don't talk about enough. David Montgomery is going to be running the football quite a bit with the Detroit Lions, and I think that's important to understand. We did it a lot with Jamal Williams. I think he's better than Jamal Williams. From the running back standpoint, I think he's better with those 1 to 2, 3 yards. I think he break tackles, and that's really important for our Detroit Lions. And you're right. I cannot wait to watch him pound the rock in the middle. Jack Reeves, 11 to 12 wins with defensive tackle Backel coming in the often injured defensive tackle Levi Onwuzurike. Do you think they will give him the benefit or pup on IR full healthy if he looks to be able to play during the camp? I think they're going to give him a chance to start camp. Maybe 10 days. That's what I got. If he's not making any sort of progress, I personally believe they'll release him with an injury settlement. There's no reason to put him on if he cannot make any sort of recovery 10 days into training camp, what is the point to put him on the PUP list? What is the point to keep this guy in the roster when we're talking about a injury that is substantial to a fusion to the spine? This is something that there is a limit to. You're not going to get past the mobility of a fusion. It is your spine is fused. So if you can't do any sort of progress in the first 10 days, my suggestion was go ahead and release him and find somebody else whether it be another team releases or when they cut down to 53, whatever. That's my personal opinion. I would love for him to come in and make a substantial gain from the health standpoint. I just don't know if that's going to be the case. 4.5 sacks over and under. I'm going to go under with the Lee McNeil. I still think he's primarily more of the run stuffer. For him to get that type of sacks, I think it's be quite difficult. He's still going to get a lot of pressure from the offensive linemen because we don't have a game-changing defensive tackle like an Aaron Donald, like a Williams, like a Sue back at his prime, those type of guys that get it done. So I think it's going to be quite difficult for him. I saw Hooker was a fumbled machine last year. What we've done to help that out? Hendon Hooker, I don't really believe he's a fumble machine. I think he's had a little bit of fumbles, but Hendon Hooker is going to be sitting in the back. He's not even going to be playing this year unless there's an injury. So that's something that you don't even have to worry about unless Jared Goff gets injured. You don't have to worry about it. So they'll work on that in training camp. Monty got wrecked by the rubber band. Let's see. Jared Goff needs to be healthy the whole season and throw the ball on time. And he said it's standing there. He's going to do that. Look, Jared Goff is a patient quarterback. Is he the greatest quarterback in the NFL? No. Is he the worst quarterback in the NFL? No. But he's a veteran quarterback that's like an Alex Smith that's going to pick apart defense. He's got time in the pocket. We got, to me, a top 3 offensive line in the NFL with Halapoulivaati Vaitai, who is healthy and should be started at the right guard position at the beginning of training camp, whom Lomas Brown, friend of the podcast, believes is when he was healthy 2 years ago, he was the best offensive lineman on the team. And we're talking about a Hall of Fame offensive lineman who knows talent. So we're good with the offensive line. Jared Goff will stand there and he'll pick apart. Don't want to see him run around. You don't want him to see him do his turnaround and swindle move. That's the one thing you don't want to see, but I'm not worried with Jared Goff in all honesty. Like the stream, Lions Rumbles 100%. Go ahead and like that stream. If we get to 100 likes, we'll definitely do a ultra combo. That's combo breaker. It's not an ultra combo, but it's pretty good. Prelude to the ultra combo. And if you're new to the channel, this is what you get with an ultra combo. Ultra combo! Goff is better than most think. I think he is, but I think a lot of people just think he's a garbage quarterback. I don't think that at all. I think that's ridiculous. I don't think he is a window licker. I don't think he drinks paint. I don't think he is Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a good quarterback. He had top 10 stats last year. Got to give him his props. I don't know. I think Aleem trimmed down because he was asked to put more pressure on the quarterback. Yeah, he did trim down, but it's yet to be seen. 4.5 sacks, though, for him. It just seems a little bit difficult, so I'll still take the under. When you come back live, at some point, Hooker had 22 fumbles in 2 years at Tennessee. Yeah, but is he playing this year? Is that big of a deal? No, I'm not too worried about it. He's a guy who's not going to be playing this year unless there is a significant injury to Jared Goff. Hell, he may completely be redshirted this year. Jared Goff had fumble issues as well. It wasn't looking bad last year. Won't look bad. So I'm not going to worry about it at all when it comes to Hendon Hooker. That's honestly the last person I'm worried about because he's not going to be playing this year unless there's an injury. So really don't need to worry about it. If there's an injury, okay, well, we'll talk about it at that point, but I don't expect him to play at all this year unless we're extremely ahead in a game and they just want to give him a snap or two and you'd be handing the football off anyways, or there's a significant injury to Jared Goff and then that sucks. But I don't see him playing. Saw Aleem in a video this morning. He looks amazing. I know he does look amazing. He trimmed down, and that's really good. I can't wait to watch him in training camp. I'll watch this whole defensive line come together. He's a very good player. He's a great third-round pick for the Lions a couple years ago. Love him. With $23 million in cap space, do you think we are saving the cap or re-signing guard Jonah Jackson and possibly players like cornerback C.J. Gardner-Johnson? Jonah Jackson, I could see the Lions re-signing for sure, 100%, because his contract is coming up. He is a player who is integral to the offensive line. He is young. We drafted him. Makes a lot of sense. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's a little bit different. C.J. Gardner-Johnson reminds me of Brian Branch, whom the Lions drafted this year. They're very similar. They could play all over the defense. Ball hawk. I think he is the future. So I don't think they're going to sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson, especially. We just signed him in free agency to a one-year deal. So no, I don't see that happening. I think Aleem plays at the 3 tech much more. Agreed lines. Aleem should be a lot quicker. He should be quicker. Should be quicker with that liquor. He should be, but 4.5 sacks. Still think it's a little bit difficult for my view. How do you think the defense is going to play out this year? I expect the Lions defense to play at around 16. Take a significant jump. They were playing much better the second half of the season. I think with the upgrades to the secondary, huge upgrades, massive upgrades, is going to give them a lot of turnovers. And getting Jack Campbell, he'll progress slowly each game and become a good linebacker for the Detroit Lions. It does depend on Alex Anzalone. He's going to be the first half Alex Anzalone or the second half. If he's the second half, the Lions defense could even be better, right? Because he was playing really good the second half of the season last year. If he's more of the first half, we may have a little bit of issues, but I think they take a significant jump. I do, and I think that's good. If the Lions defense goes to 16, their offense is what I think is the top 2 offense, Lions definitely making the playoffs. I mean, there'll be times where they'll blow teams out. If Martin can demand double teams, D-line can be amazing 100%. If he demands the double teams, especially Broderick Martin, a rookie, that's going to give more time for Aiden Hutchinson and Romeo Aquar and whoever else is on the opposite there. The cap space, the trade deadline for the first time forever. Are we buying this year? I do think that we could be buyers this year, and I think the trade deadline is what they wait for. If the Lions are really having a good season, and there is a player from a bad team that they think that they can acquire can help the Lions win a playoff game this year, I could see them doing it for sure. They've been active on the trade deadline, just been sellers. I think this year they could be a buyer. Believe C.J. Gardner-Johnson stays if he produces. Contract has to be right. Contract has to be right. It does. Would I like him to stay? I think, for sure. It'd be interesting, how they look at Tracy Walker in that case. Because if you're going to keep C.J. Gardner-Johnson, then you'd think Tracy Walker would be the odd man out, which I'm fine with. I'm not a big Tracy Walker fan. I like Kirby Joseph, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and Brian Branch the long term over Tracy Walker. I'm not saying Tracy Walker bad at all. I think he's good, but I think the long term, those guys are a little more talented, and it makes more sense to me. Let me know in the comment section. Who do you like more, Tracy Walker, or do you like players such as Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, or C.J. Gardner-Johnson a little bit more? I personally like C.J., but he's probably going to demand a big, giant contract too. If he has another season like he did last year here in Detroit, he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid like Jesse Bates. Okay, he's going to get paid like a top safety in the NFL. I don't know if that's something that the Lions could do, in which I would be fine for. I love C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I have no problem. But then you would have to look at Tracy Walker. Because you can't just sign everybody, right? We can't be New Orleans Saints here. That's not how we operate as an organization, is just sign every single player to mad contracts and be fiscally irresponsible for the foreseeable future. And you got to understand teams like Detroit, we're building through the draft. We supplement our veteran players through players whom we drafted. And Brad Holmes has shown throughout the years that he is a master of the draft. And so I do trust his ability to acquire talent in the draft and replace the free agents whom we do like in Detroit with players whom the Detroit Lions will draft with. And that's something that is really nice for the Lions.